Hello, I'm Dave Abrams.
And I'm Karla Schaffer, and this is Anne Arundel County Week in Review. Well, Kristin's off to sing at the presidential inauguration, and Erik is working on a new system to pick NFL games.
Thank God.
Today, we'll preview our local version of something better than American Idol, and we'll tell you about the burrito wars in Annapolis. But first, making headlines this week. You probably call this good news out of Annapolis. Governor O'Malley presented his budget proposal to legislators, and it calls for no new taxes and modestly increases aid to counties. The talk of a gas tax increase or a sales tax hike is on hold for now. Our crack staff of numbers crunchers has analyzed the budget and pulled out the information that directly relates to Anne Arundel County. The county is slated to receive almost $400 million in direct aid, including $324 million for schools, $3 million for local road projects, and $7.6 million for public safety. The transportation funding is an increase after it fell from roughly $15 million a year to almost nothing last year. Commuters and residents around Fort Meade got good news as the governor proposed $19.8 million to pay for intersection improvements at Reese Road and Mapes Road. Those projects have been planned for years with no funding until now. County budget officials are hoping to use some of the $2.7 million increase to public safety to increase the number of school resource officers in middle schools. Of course, a lot can change as the legislature gets a hold of the budget, so we'll be sure to keep you updated as the 90-day session progresses. If you're brave enough to read the entire state budget, you can go online to www.gov.state.md.us and click on the banner at the top of the page.
See, Karla, we knew exactly what to do. Today called for numbers, and I said, we're bringing in Karla on this one.
Because I know numbers?
I think you did. Do you know numbers?
A little bit, yeah.
You did okay with that. That was hard. We're gonna have you add and subtract later on in a different episode.
All right.
But welcome back. Welcome back
you.
to Week in Review,
Thank
and
you,
welcome
Dave.
back to the county. You're in a new role now.
I am. Yep. I'm now working for the Department of Aging and Disabilities. I'm the communications director over there. So.
Communications director.
For Aging and Disabilities.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Not
So I'm okay.
You're okay. You still have your job. I know you were sweating it for a minute there, but yeah.
Well, of course, one of the important things with budget is always to read the fine print, Karla. We said no new taxes so far, but last year the state passed a law requiring counties to institute a new fee to pay for stormwater management. This week, the County Council will start deliberations on a fee of $85 for single-family homes to pay for projects to replace aging or failing stormwater pipes and to fix streams that are no longer filtering runoff before it gets to the Chesapeake Bay. The fee structure depends on what kind of property you own. The fee is $34 for townhomes and condominiums and $170 for larger properties with impervious surfaces. The proposal will generate an estimated $26.5 million next year. Now, Karla, I don't want to pay this fee any more than anyone else, but I will tell you that I've had a chance to see some of these projects, and they're really amazing. It turns a gully, like a barren, area into, where water is shooting into the stream, into, a more natural environment where it can filter out things like oil and runoff, silt, fertilizers, all the bad stuff that gets into the water. Basically, you're getting a filter to stop this pollution from getting to the Chesapeake Bay.
It's a very good thing. Well, it's amazing these days what kids can do with computers. I'm sure the day is coming very soon when my baby girl Lena is going to be taking pictures with my smartphone. She's already reaching for the phone, Dave.
I'm not surprised.
Reaching for the remote controls, reaching for the phones. Well, we have good news to report for the kids at Manor View Elementary School on Fort Meade. They all got brand new iPads through a $15,000 grant from Target. The Apps for Reading program provided the school with 23 iPads and 1 iPad cart. Teachers say the gadgets are great because the kids are so excited to use them and they're more engaged in their lessons. The school plans to integrate the iPads into their science, technology, engineering, and math curriculum. Congratulations to the students and staff, and thank you to Target.
Love Target.
Target.
Don't you? But I have to apologize to you before we go on. I may look a little tired today.
Okay.
I was
You were
up
late shopping at Target?
I was up late. It wasn't just because I was watching American Idol, which I will admit I was watching American Idol, but I stayed up for the Wizards game, they're on the West Coast, so all the games are starting late. I'm probably the only person who stayed up past midnight to watch this game. But I found I heard an interesting piece of trivia that I thought would interest you because you're a Michigan girl. So,
I am.
So one of the biggest stars in Michigan, of course, is Isaiah Thomas.
Yeah.
Right? And the Wizards were playing the Kings, and their star point guard, his name is Isaiah Thomas.
But it's not the
But it's
same
not
Isaiah
the
Thomas.
Isaiah
Or
Thomas. And I
Isaiah
always
Thomas
thought that
is
was so, yeah. And I didn't know why.
a little too old to be in the NBA right now.
Yeah, exactly. Isaiah Thomas is not going to be starting for any NBA teams. But it's funny, we had a bet on the show when the Redskins played the Ravens because I love the Redskins and Erik loves the Ravens. Of course, Erik lost that bet. And Erik was man enough to...
He wore the jersey.
He wore the jersey. He sang the fight song poorly, but he sang the song. Well, it turns out that Isaiah Thomas was named Isaiah Thomas because his father lost a bet on a Pistons game.
Really?
Now let's take this out for a minute. Imagine that Erik Roby lost a bet to me and had to name his child Robert Griffin
RG3?
Roby. I mean...
I don't think he'd do it.
He you know what? He stood up to the plate and he did what he had to do. But I don't know if I'd ever name my kid based on losing a bet. I'd try and get out of that.
I think wearing a jersey on TV is one thing. Naming a child for the rest of his or her life.
And what if it was a girl? Isaiah, the girl Isaiah.
Isabel.
Anyway, Karla.
It's a popular name.
As our viewers know, because Erik constantly reminds them, I love food. So we had to pass along this food story. I call it Burrito Wars. The Annapolis Board of Appeals has approved a special exception for Chipotle to open a restaurant at City Dock in Annapolis. My favorite part of this story is that at one point there was a decision that Chipotle was a fast food restaurant, which is not allowed at City Dock because they use plastic silverware. Now, because Moe's Southwest Grill offered metal forks, spoons, and knives, they were able to set up downtown at City Dock years ago. The Chipotle will replace Hard Bean Coffee and Booksellers, which I will say has some good sandwiches. It's also nice to have a bookstore downtown. But we cannot stop the wheels of change. The Chipotle is supposed to be open by the end of this year, so let the burrito wars begin. Now, which one do you prefer? Do you like Moe's or do you like Chipotle?
Well, after hearing that, it sounds like you prefer Chipotle. I don't know which one I prefer. Maybe Moe's.
It's a tough call because they're different. Okay, I mean, they're both burrito joints, but Chipotle is like kind of a, I think their slogan is Fresh Mex, and they have all these different meat selections. But Moe's is the only place where you can get your standard taco with taco meat. Or burrito with taco meat.
I just think they're kind of different animals.
They are pretty different, but I think only one can survive.
I don't know. I do like Chipotle too. I used to stop there on the way home from the gym sometimes, which of course completely negated my workout.
Good for you. But, and they do have, I think there's more than one ice cream shop in downtown Annapolis.
Yeah.
I think there's more than one souvenir shop, t-shirt shop.
There might be more than one.
So maybe 2 taco places. There's more Week in Review to come, including our interview with Danny Mays and Nancy Almgren from the High School Battle of the Bands. Check out our community calendar for events around your county. We'll be right back.
This financial advisor is being accused of committing one of the largest investment frauds in the history of the United States.
I guess we're not going to Aspen. That's fine. You see, I like tennis balls. He likes insider trading. So he's going to jail and I'm going to a shelter. And no, they're not the same thing. Shelters are for good pets that want to be adopted. Jails are for criminals. I've done nothing. Uh-oh. Ooh, okay, I stole a cheeseburger once. I'm a dog.
Welcome back, folks. Well, each year we like to preview a great event in Anne Arundel County, and it's the Anne Arundel County High School Battle of the Bands. And I want to welcome on the show Danny Mays and Nancy Almgren, the organizers, I believe, through the whole life of the show. Thanks for coming on with us.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
So what should we expect with Battle of the Bands this year? What are you guys seeing as you're going through the vetting process?
Oh, the bands are great. They usually are. Danny's seen a lot more of them because there are more venues this year, so the bands have been playing out more often, which means they're going to be really good.
Now, last year we saw the rise of the female-fronted bands. Are there any trends that are happening this year in terms of any front runners? Or?
No, I think like Nancy said, the thing that I'm noticing this year is that we've got some bands that were in the show last year that are coming back. And I think just the experience level of most of the bands in the show is greater than it has been in the past years. So I think, like Nancy said, you're going to see a show of more seasoned musicians, as seasoned as high school musicians can be, but I think that they've been afforded the opportunity to play more often. So I think that's the theme to me this year.
And I think the last two winners were fairly experienced, right? I mean, Pandemonium, that's now Sun Club, they were playing out on the road, so to speak, before the Battle of the Bands, and I think Stiletto was as well.
Yeah, they were both. They both had a good amount of experience coming in, and now, Sun Club's doing big things, and Ben and Johnny from Stiletto are doing big things too. So,
which we've profiled on the show. We keep in touch, and we make sure that we let everybody know what the bands are doing.
That's right. I remember we had them on, and they were talking about their tours and.
Yeah, we actually had the benefit of, by accident, predicting the winner 2 years ago when Pandemonium won. So
Erik
that's
Roby,
a high
I
standard.
think, predicted it.
No. Stop. Erik Roby is not, this grand swami. He doesn't. He makes you think that he knows.
No, but that's the point. Erik knows little to nothing about music, yet he predicted Pandemonium.
Well, he probably liked the name.
He doesn't know anything about football, but he
probably
picks football.
liked
this has devolved
the name.
quickly.
Yes. He probably liked the name. It's like I go to the racetrack and I pick a horse based on the name.
Yeah, that could work.
But I will tell you, there have been a lot of years where the favorite has done very well, but not won because a dark horse comes in, and we've got a few dark horses this year. We've got, for the first time, we've got a band from Meade. Meade High School's never participated in the past, which is pretty good. And these guys are, they're doing some trash talking about how good they are, which is always a good sign. And the same thing with Arundel High School's got sending a band this year.
Yeah. So there's a couple of bands that I'm not too familiar with, and like Nancy said, those might be the type of bands that go up there and blow you away. And it's always so tough too when you put the kids in an environment where they're only playing for 15 minutes. They're playing on a much bigger stage than they're used to playing on. There's a lot of variables that it's very hard that even if one band seems like a clear front runner on paper, there's so many variables to that type of show that's what always makes it exciting for me.
Well, a lot of the bands who've won in the past have gone on under different names and are pretty well known around here. In 2000, the winner was a dark horse, and they're now known as Fools and Horses. There was a band from Key School called Trial and Error, and they're now the Dirty Names. So we've had a lot of you can look at a lot of the named bands that are doing very well and getting a lot of publicity today that got their start at the Battle of the Bands.
So now how can people purchase tickets to the battle?
You can lots of different ways.
Give us your money.
You can buy them from the bands. Each of the high school bands has 50 tickets. Now, you can go directly to the schools, or you can go to Music and Arts in Severna Park and buy tickets with no service charge, or you can go to East of Maui Board Shop at Riva and buy again for $12 a ticket, or Danny, online?
Yes, they're available online at aabattle.org.
And you also have a Facebook page.
Facebook.com/AABattle, also accessible through aabattle.org. But again, the online sales too, no service charge, no shipping fees.
And what's at stake for what are the prizes for the winners?
The winning band gets a full day of recording with Steve Wright at Right Way Studios in Baltimore, bar none, best engineer in the area, best studio in the area. They're also going to be the first band announced for the Silipana Music Festival coming up this summer. And there's going to be other playing opportunities involved too, but those are the two big prizes. And of course, 100% of the proceeds go to the winning school's music programs.
Well, it's the future of music in the county, and,
It is.
and
Yeah.
Danny and Nancy, you guys do a great job, and thanks for staying in there and keeping the show going. It's been very successful. I'm sure it'll be very successful this year. So thanks for being on with us.
Thanks for having us. Thank you.
Folks, we'll be right back after this message.
Hey, going out like that?
Yeah, why?
Well, what would the neighbors think?
I see you! Come look at Mr. Feather!
Look what I have. Mr. Bird, remember?
Bark, bark, bark! We're just playing! We're just playing on trying to get you out of here!
Even still.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. There are thousands of teens in foster care who don't need perfection. They need you.
Welcome back. In this week's Recreation and Park Spotlight, Carolyn Ryan is at Kinder Farm Park to tell us about the Tobacco Farm Museum there. Carolyn?
Anne Arundel County is rich with history, and the Department of Recreation and Parks has taken advantage of some of that great history. And here at Kinder Farm Park, they've actually taken the tobacco barn and have made a museum out of it. I'm here with Shauna Chesto, one of our seasonal park rangers, and she's going to tell us a little bit about the history of this tobacco barn museum. Thanks for being on the show, Shauna.
Oh, thank you, and thank you for featuring us. Excuse me. The program started with an idea I had back when I was actually a full-time park ranger here at Kinder Farm Park around 2008, and it took a few years to go into fruition, but when it did, it was with the assistance of seasonal park ranger Josh Hardy, who really took it upon himself to do the cleanup portion of the barn. Just on a side note, this barn used to be filled completely with old artifacts and just equipment that we were holding or we were going to use down the line, and some of the equipment that was originally on the site when the county took over the property. So it was that in itself, cleaning out to develop a museum was a chore. Anyway, along with seasonal ranger Josh Hardy, who also assisted with the setup of the artifacts, my coworkers assisted as well. Park rangers Tom Schlein, Justin Ramos, Nolly Fisher, and Kevin Keller all helped, as well as the Kinder Farm Park Sawmill Club. They graciously cut the wood on the planks that we're standing on right now. And they also, one of the Saw Club members, Tom Ladama, made the nice signs that you see on the entrance and the exit that say Tobacco Barn Museum, so you know what exactly this building is. Mr. Paul Downey made the display cases that are behind us. We can see them if we walk around. And Friends member Roy Fielder actually happened to be at the park one day, and he helped some of the park rangers put in the center planking. So it was really a group effort to make this occur. A little history about the barn itself. The barn was not here originally. It was actually located on property by Mr. John J. Lurch III in Gambles, Maryland. Now, back in the late 80s, his property was getting developed into a Anne Arundel County sports park. So they had the foresight to save the barn, because it is such a part of our history, whether or not it's controversial, it's still an important part. And they brought the barn, the pieces that they could, in 1989. Now, when I say the pieces that they could, unfortunately, the actual siding, the outside of the barn, could not be saved, nor could the roof, due to just weathering and wind damage. And like I said, it was believed to build around the 1910s. So unfortunately, it just didn't last that well over the years. But the framing, if you look around, the framing is actually the original framing from when it was built. And I invite our visitors when they walk around to look for metal tags, because that's what they use to keep the framing pieces in order when they disassembled them and reassembled them at the park here.
Great, great. Well, it definitely sounds like a tremendous team effort. Yes. A lot of history here. Now, what kinds of things can folks see as they come through the museum?
The museum is not just about the tobacco history, which of course is very important, especially in Anne Arundel County. It also is just immensely the vast history of Anne Arundel County farming. So we have cultivators here and plows. We have a broom corn seeder. Broom corn was used to make brooms, so the seeder actually took off the seeds before you could put the broom corn together and make brooms. We have all kinds of, we have a manure spreader here. We have all kinds of array of tools, everything from the old-fashioned two-person saw to hammers, just almost everything that you can imagine when you think about farm life in the 1920s, which is the decade that we focus on as far as history-wise and at Kinder Farm Park.
Great, yes, very appropriate to have farming equipment here at Kinder Farm Park. Now, how can, I know it's the winter time right now, so and it's a little chilly in here. Right. When can folks actually come and visit the museum?
Well, we currently have, we're trying to make it all accessible because the floor is actually dirt. So the middle floor here was done by Eagle Scout Zachary Boyles. We've got 2 other Eagle Scouts that are doing the remaining 2 floors because the barn is actually sectioned off in 3 sections. And then we have an Eagle Scout doing the display cases. So we're trying to keep it closed enough to give the gentlemen the time to put the floors in without having to move their tools and move the wood every time we try and open up the barn. So I anticipate the barn being open in late spring of this year.
Great. Well, very good. Well, thank you so much for being on the show.
Oh, and thank you so much for having us.
Absolutely. For more information on the Tobacco Barn Museum and all things Kinder Farm Park, you can go to our website, www.aacounty.org/recparks. Back to you in the studio.
Thanks, Carolyn. Tobacco is such a huge part of the history of Anne Arundel County, and this is just another great thing to do at Kinder Farm Park.
On January 15, 2013, members of the Anne Arundel County Police Department's Traffic Safety Section and Criminal Investigation Division worked a joint auto theft operation. Joining us now is Public Information Officer Justin Mulcahy with further details on the investigation. Justin.
At approximately 3:30 p.m., uniformed officers from the Traffic Safety Section stopped a 1988 Peterbilt truck bearing Tennessee registration plates for a commercial motor vehicle inspection. This was in the area of Marley Neck Boulevard in Glen Burnie. Now, during that inspection, officers observed what appeared to be the remnants of a vehicle that had been dismantled in the bed of the truck. Consequently, members of the auto theft unit responded to the scene and identified parts of the vehicle as coming from a 1999 Freightliner tow truck that was stolen from Chaz Towing back on January 5th of this year. 2 suspects were arrested on scene and charges are pending against a 3rd suspect. The 2 arrested suspects are as follows. The first is Troy Lamar Fry, age 42, of Laurel Drive in Pasadena, Maryland. The second suspect, that's Kenneth Hatch, age 66, of Magnolia Avenue in Pasadena. Folks, we're going to move on to our second incident. That one took place on January 3rd, about 10:38 in the evening. That's when 2 male suspects displayed handguns, announced a robbery, and took money, cigarettes, and cigars from the 7-Eleven store located at 500 Donaldson Avenue in Severn. Now, the suspects fled the scene in what was described as a dark-colored, possibly green Ford Explorer, being a late 90s to early 2000s model. Now, pay attention to your screen. The pictured male and female subjects are being identified as persons of interest in this incident. Anyone with information on the incident, the vehicle, the suspects, or any persons of interest, as shown on the screen, they're urged to contact Detective Keene of the Anne Arundel County Police Department's Robbery Unit. You can be contacted at 410-222-3489, or you can contact 410-222-3566, or as always, Metro Crime Stoppers. Speaking of Metro Crime Stoppers, if you have any information on any of the crimes or suspects we mentioned on the show, don't hesitate to call, email, or text your tip to Metro Crime Stoppers hotline 24 hours a day, toll free. That number, it's 1-866-7-LOCK-UP. Or you can text message MCS plus your message to crimes at 274-637. Or as always, visit that website at www.metrocrimestoppers.net. Remember, folks, phone calls are not recorded. Callers remain anonymous, and you might be eligible for a cash reward of up to $2,000. Back to you, Dave.
Thanks, Justin.
This week, the Anne Arundel County Fire Department responded to more than 1,724 calls for service. This included 1,409 emergency medical calls and 86 fire calls. This week, there was a motor vehicle collision involving numerous pedestrians in the Glen Burnie area of the county and a garage fire in the Pasadena area. With us now to tell us more about these incidents is Lieutenant Jack Bell of the Anne Arundel County Fire Department.
On January 10th at approximately 5:30 p.m., a 911 call was received reporting a motor vehicle accident involving a pedestrian at the intersection of Quarterfield Road and Route 100 in the Glen Burnie area of the county. Subsequent calls reported multiple pedestrians had been struck. Initial arriving fire department personnel found a total of 4 individuals had been injured and quickly called for additional resources to the scene. All 4 patients were transported to the Shock Trauma Center in Baltimore, 1 adult male with life-threatening injuries, and 3 teenage individuals with serious but non-life-threatening injuries. The next afternoon, fire department units were dispatched for a reported garage fire in the 100 block of Mountain Road in Pasadena. Units found a standalone garage with heavy fire and smoke throughout the structure. Units operated on the scene for approximately 3.5 hours. The fire was ignited by a wood stove, and the cause of the fire was determined to be accidental. In the aftermath of Hurricane Sandy, communities were left devastated and families in need of relief. 27 members of the Silverton Volunteer Fire Department in New Jersey had either lost or sustained major damage to their homes. The town of Crisfield had suffered flooding, and Allegheny County had received a record snowfall. Realizing help was needed, the Anne Arundel County Fire Department stepped up and answered the alarm. Along with Maryland State Firemen's Association and local businesses, rescue workers expanded their holiday fundraising activities to include some hard-hit areas in Maryland and New Jersey. In a joint effort by the Anne Arundel County Fire Department, IAFF Local 1563, the Maryland State Firemen's Association, the Anne Arundel County Volunteer Firefighters Association, the Ferndale and Woodland Beach Volunteer Fire Departments, Olson Waring of Arbutus, and Dillon's Bus Service of Hanover, holiday meals, Christmas toys, and gift cards were delivered to the families in Somerset, Allegheny, and Anne Arundel counties in Maryland, and in Tomes River, New Jersey.
Thanks, Lieutenant. The relief efforts provided much-needed assistance to 80 families, including more than 400 children.
Well, you may have missed it, but I know you didn't get a chance to get in on the football picks.
I didn't, but I mean, they're so legendary that I think everyone in the county is.
Erik makes such a big deal. I mean, yes, he did very well the first week. I will admit that.
Mm-hmm.
And he couldn't be happier that he picked the Seahawks over my Redskins, which, I'll just say for the record that nobody could have predicted that RG3 was that hurt. And I don't feel bad about it. I'm fine. I'm good. So, but the interesting thing is, no matter how good or bad we all are at picking our games, and we'll of course do the scores at the end, each of us have one Super Bowl team left. Kristin picked the Redskins and Ravens, which I got to give her some credit for
I think
that.
she's in the lead, isn't she?
I did not do the math yet, but she does still have the Ravens left. The Redskins are out. Erik picked the 49ers and the Broncos.
Okay.
And the Broncos lost to the Ravens. I mean, that's kind of bad right there. Erik kind of messed up right there. So, and I picked the Redskins and the Patriots. So I still have the Patriots.
So wait, does this mean that you're rooting for the Patriots against the Ravens? I know you're a Redskins man, but Dave.
It's hard.
Come on.
It's hard. Tom Brady went to Michigan.
He did.
And, I like to support
Go
my
Blue.
Michigan people. You know what? I think I'm gonna be a neutral party in this one. I do want to be right because we all like to be right. So I'd be okay with the Patriots winning, but you can't. I just don't feel right rooting against the Ravens. I hope they win. It'd be great for the area and for the city. What about you? I know you have some issues here because you love Tom Brady.
I don't know if I love Tom Brady. Mom, if you're out there watching, purple. I know you love Tom Brady. No, I don't know if I love Tom Brady. He was a Michigan man, though, so I'll give him that. No, I have to root for the Ravens, too.
Okay.
Yeah, and I know my husband's going to be rooting for the Ravens big time, so I don't want to create any waves in the house. I think, regardless of where our other allegiances may lie, we have to pull together.
And now, why is Mom rooting for the Patriots?
I don't know if she's rooting for the Patriots or Brady specifically. Do I really have to explain why my mom likes Tom Brady?
It's such a big Michigan thing. That's all it is, Michigan.
I think she.
She thinks he's cute.
She thinks he's cute.
Oh, that's nice. Well, some people pick them for their colors. Some people pick them for X's and O's. Some people pick them like Erik Roby, and there's really no reason at all. They think they know what they're talking about, but they really don't.
Yeah, although she does things by colors a lot of the time too. She wins polls, the NCAA brackets sometimes, because she picks the teams that she likes based on colors, or if she knows someone who went to that school, and she has won
because there's
before.
upsets, so that's smart. I think that's a good way to go. Now, Michigan's very good this year, right?
They're very good. Unfortunately, they had their first loss against Ohio State last weekend, which hurts.
And Maryland won against NC State by 1 point. Isn't 51-50, isn't that a really low scoring game?
It is.
That sounds dreadfully low.
Yeah.
I heard on the radio today that scoring is way down in college basketball, so depending on what you think about that. But okay, so all right, well, maybe we'll see Michigan and Maryland, and maybe we'll see the Ravens win, and you can be happy, or the Patriots may win, and I'll call your mom and I'll say the Golden Boy did it again, and everybody can be happy, and Erik can be wrong again. That wraps up this week's edition of Week in Review. You can watch this episode online anytime at www.aacounty.org. Archived episodes are available at blip.tv and YouTube. You can also subscribe to the free video podcast at iTunes or like us on Facebook at Arundel TV. Please tune in again next week for more highlights and news from around the county.